Silicon Slope Summit is Utah's original and longest-running grassroots tech event. It provides entrepreneurs, startups, and leaders the resources and community they need to succeed. With the pandemic behind us, we're excited to bring Silicon Slope Summit back to its original January dates in conjunction with the Sundance Film Festival. We have some unbelievable news. Silicon Slope Summit is free for all Utahns for the first time ever. You heard that right. Silicon Slope Summit is now free. For those looking for an upgraded experience, we are also offering VIP tickets for just $95. Thanks to our partners, sponsors, and government leaders, Silicon Slope Summit is the most accessible tech and startup event in the world. Summit will be hosted in multiple locations throughout the week in both Utah and Salt Lake Valley. There will also be a Startup Alley at Summit this year, where startups and entrepreneurs can meet with investors from around the world to pitch their ideas, receive feedback, and promote what they're building. Of course, we'll be bringing in world-class leaders and speakers, as we have in the past, but we'll also be hosting specific tracks and bringing attendees together for curated networking in a way never done before. You don't want to miss this year's summit. To register, buy VIP tickets, learn about sponsorship, and apply for your startup to be part of Startup Alley, go to siliconslopes.com/summit.
I'll say this, the Salt Palace was magical for me and us because we just had some great first moments there.
Really?
At the Salt Palace. Oh my gosh. The first time we did, really every time. And even last year, I was a little sick, I remember, and I was only there for just a few minutes last year, but that we just recognized that people like it was one of the first times that we had many people step into our shoes because it was just, we were a DTC company. We hadn't done events. We hadn't had thousands of people look at our shoes and step into them and seen their faces. It was pretty fun, fundamental and eye-opening for us.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
What was your first summit? What year was that?
My best guess, it might have been 21.
Okay. When did you guys launch?
17 technically.
Yeah.
November of 17. We just sold a few shoes in 17 and frankly in 18. I joined in 19. You know how the world always starts when you start. I mean, it's not fair. It's not true, even close to true. But we sort of pivoted hard right before the pandemic. Was fortunate toward direct to consumer, and so I mean that's sort of a second real launch for us. That's when we went from $1 million or $2 million in sales to more.
To an insane. So in 17 and 18, you weren't doing a D2C model. You weren't going direct to consumer.
We started in wholesale with a wholesale model, and we were selling into some boutique, well, not boutique, but basically, boutique and family footwear stores. And it's just how we started. Then we decided, you know what, we want to aim at a lower price point and aim at a younger consumer, and that just worked for us.
And so where were you prior to 2019?
I was at my law firm, Bennett, Tueller, Johnson and Deere. Still bears my name. I'm not a.
You don't go in anymore?
No. Believe me, Kizik has me plenty.
That'd be wild if you still did that.
Plenty busy. I don't think I've built it out. But I was a business and M&A attorney for 20 plus years here in Utah. And I was Mike Pratt's attorney.
Okay.
So we got to know one another. A friend introduced us, and I could see what was happening and thought I'd try something new and different.
Well, what was it about what was happening that made you like, all right, I got to go all in on this? I'm going to go be the CEO of this. Like the opportunity is so incredible because I mean, in 2019, there's a lot of shoe brands, right? And it's not entirely clear, at least it wouldn't have been to me in 2019, that another one was needed. I mean, it's clear now, right?
Well,
But
yeah, and I think a lot of people thought that it's sort of the definition of innovation. You do something to solve people's problem that they don't know they have, and I think that's what Mike Pratt had done, and I could smell it and see it, and I was, like I said, I was Mike's lawyer, so I was watching, and frankly, a little more than watching. I had helped him. I'd recruited his chief financial officer at the time. Lance Davis is his name. I recruited Alex MacArthur, who was our awesome chief marketing officer for 5 years. And so I was more than passive, but I do remember the first time that I met Mike. No, it was the second time that I met Mike. He was trying to just figure out, am I going to hire this guy? Is he enough of an entrepreneurial lawyer for me? And I went to his home that he had moved out of, and he was using it as sort of a Kizik office. And we went down in the basement, and he had told me about hands-free shoes. But then he showed me about 20 file folder boxes, like bank boxes, cardboard. And the first one said F1 on it. He pulled it off the top of the shelf. He dumped it out. There were prototypes in there. He said, this is one way to do this. Showed me, put it back up, pulled the second one down, let me step my foot into just a prototype. Be careful. He said, don't break it. And I could see, whoa, this guy's serious. He's not finding just one way. He's finding every way to make hands-free shoes. And that was probably in end of 16.
Okay.
And that's when I became his business lawyer. And I could sense it then. One more story?
Yeah.
The next year I went with him to Asia, to Dongguan, southern China, outside of Hong Kong. And we were sitting with, he was looking for the right factory deal. Someone who was innovative enough to, no factory had ever made hands-free shoes.
Yeah.
And he was, I'll pull my shoe off here and show you what it looked like. We were in front of this factory owner. He was about 70 years old, Eric Chow, and he was looking at this shoe. And I remember he had it in his hand. He was pumping the back of it. And Mike said, Eric, why would you wear a shoe you have to tie if you have the exact same shoe, same comfort, same style, and it's hands-free? And Eric said, And Mike said, look, Eric, this could be 10% of a $350 billion market. And Eric, his English is really good, but sort of in a malapropism, he said, Mike, and he pumped the back of that shoe and he said, this is your golden chicken, Mike. And I think he meant golden goose, but it was, anyway, that was before Kizik had started selling a lot of shoes. Mike could see the vision. I was his lawyer. I was saying, this could happen. This could really happen.
And it did, right? Like it is like so much more. Like so I have, like I was telling you before, I have like 30 pairs of Kiziks. And whenever I wear something that's not Kizik, I'm like, I got to put it on. I got to tie it.
Yeah.
It's really become like this cool, convenient, very easy thing. And when I have to go back to the old way, I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you can think of other things like that. I've used the example of a car window that we used to roll down. I'm old enough to remember that.
Oh, yeah.
An iPod, wireless headphones. I mean, you remember we're never going to have wired headphones again. I mean, is it a big deal? No, I think it's an issue of friction. Why would you leave the friction in your life of reaching down and tying on a shoe, or reaching down with the back of your hand and put it in the back of your shoe? Some people ask, does that mean, is this for lazy people? No, it just makes our lives a little better. And also, don't you kind of like, I mean, I don't know, joy's maybe a strong word, but don't you like that feeling of,
They like fit better too because of it.
Yeah,
Like
they do.
the fit is better. It's not like you're not compromising anything.
yeah.
And you're getting really cool shoes, in my opinion. What was the first shoe that really took off?
It was a shoe called the Madrid.
Okay.
And it's kind of a cool story. We were making mostly leather shoes, $180 range, mostly for men. And I remember the date, October 28th, 2019. This was, maybe I'll go back one second, just
Sure,
throw
of
in the
course.
fact that you asked the question, what made me
Yeah.
jump? It was Mike Pratt's vision and him helping me see it. And then it was the fact that Nike came and said, hey, we're interested in this. We're working on this. And we did a deal with Nike to license our technology to Nike. That was pretty validating. Yeah.
The number one company in the world.
Right. The biggest footwear brand in the world. And so a few months later, October 28th, 2019, we sat down in a room and said, okay, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to make a shoe that is more affordable, that is more unisex, could be used by the masses, and sort of right for e-commerce. And we're going to do it within 1 year. So we have it ready for Q4 2020. And we're going to go hire, and we ended up hiring Harmon Brothers. We're going to go hire someone who can make us some content that is going to make people's thumbs stop. And we did all of that by the next October, and we launched the Madrid. And it took our sales, I think from maybe a couple of million annualized sales to the next year, 4.5, and the year after that, 11.5. And
it's still probably one of your most popular shoes, isn't it?
It is. It sells so well. And particularly on Amazon, it sells well. It's probably 4 or 5 on our list of popular shoes.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're like, I'm in. I'm all in. The Nike thing is really interesting. Let's talk about that for a second. Like, what did that deal entail? And what does that mean for you guys in terms of, can you make athletic footwear? Can you compete in their space? Can they compete in yours? Like, how does that work?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed by the contract to reveal to you exactly what the contract says.
That was a very detailed.
But I'll say this: we had some limitations for a time. We're really glad that Nike is making hands-free shoes, and they've made some beautiful hands-free shoes, and will continue to do so. We hope, but we're building our Kizik brand without limitation now. We can make any kind of shoe we want. And frankly, we also we are open for business is a little bit of a strong term, because we'll be very selective and strategic in how we do things. But this is a fairly new thing, Clint, that we can have other partners now, and we may.
Oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
I got really excited. What was it? 6 months, a year ago, when you launched a hiking shoe.
Yeah.
That one was, that was a new thing, right?
Yes. And just the fact that, it's one thing to have a low top shoe that you can step into, but keep your eyes peeled. I mean, we can do, that's called the Wasatch. We'll have another couple of boots this fall. But we did launch in a very much of a test last Cyber Monday in November. We launched a 12-inch snow boot called the Juno.
Oh yeah.
Did you see
I
that
remember
one?
seeing that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I do remember seeing that one.
And it sold. I mean, by midnight they were gone. I think we launched them in the afternoon on Cyber Monday, and they were gone within 4 or 5 hours. It was a small run. We thought we would see if they worked, and they did. And we'll launch those this winter season again.
That's cool.
But yeah, a mid top, high top that is hands free. Yeah, we believe any shoe can be hands free.
Yeah.
And we got an incredibly creative and innovative lab that can make it happen.
Who designs these? Because you have some super, super uniquely designed shoes that you look at them and you know that that's a Kizik.
You know, I'd say our design happens in two ways. We have a design team and they're remarkable, but our design starts with function. And you mentioned earlier when we were talking a shoe called the Roamer.
Mm-hmm.
That
I love the Roamer, man.
I love the Roamer too. And that shoe was born out of the invention. We realized, hey, we call it our unified technology, meaning the piece on the back of the shoe that allows you to step in is one and the same with the outsole. And so we call it unified. And, you know, we worked on several different designs, but that is an example of one that absolutely came from the function.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah. Your design team and the way you guys think about it, the way you roll things out is really interesting and something that other consumer brands and startups and entrepreneurs should look at because it's quite fascinating how you do each thing. I got to know though, the Jet Puffs partnership. How did that come about? Seriously, I bought like 5 of those brown shoes as soon as they came out that day. I was like, what is this? This is the coolest shoe ever. It's this really unique color. It's like, and then you launched a bunch of other colors later on. How did that come about? What's the Jet Puff thing?
Yeah, our lead designer, his name is Brad Johnson. I believe I have the story right. He has a friend at Jet Puff and reached out and said, let's try something. I mean, who would have thought that a shoe company and a marshmallow brand would collaborate? But that's what happened. And, you know, once we got rolling, it didn't take that long. And, you know, we made a shoe that looked like a marshmallow, not just a marshmallow, but a roasted marshmallow.
That's exactly right.
And did you get a pair of the roasted marshmallow
I did,
version?
yeah. I got
it looked like it had been over the fire for a while.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And yeah, I've got a pair and love
Is that a limited edition thing? Do you
absolutely? Yeah, they're long gone.
You'll never do those again. And so, what do you think? Like, do you think you'll do other kind of out of the box partnerships like that? Not just like, hey, there's other shoe companies you could partner with, but man, I gotta imagine that was one of your biggest sales days when you launched something. Like, it's just so like, what is going on? Like, they're partnering with Jet Puff and the shoe looks cool. Like, this is crazy.
It certainly got us a lot of eyeballs and a lot of comments on social media. And, you know, it was a very limited run of the number of shoes. So if you got more than one pair, I don't know, maybe, you know.
I won't say how I did it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, you're Clint Betts, man. But yeah, no, it got us a lot of eyeballs, and it was a great sales day. Honestly, not selling so many of that shoe, but a lot of people coming to our site and buying other shoes that are a little more mainstream. But it's so much fun.
So what all goes into
and to answer your question that you asked, yes, we have in the works other
something similar to that,
other collaborations, and so
it's such a
watch next year.
I've never seen that with a shoe company before, like that. Like again, like it's a marshmallow company,
yeah.
But it's an iconic marshmallow company,
right.
I
don't know that we'll get that far afield again, but from shoes, but we may. It was a unexpected fit, but a fit.
Aside from design, how do you go about launching a product from the beginning to all the way to the end? And you mentioned like an example of this that I think is interesting is the snowshoe and you just do a very limited run and see if people even like them. And if they do, you produce more?
Yes. And I'll tell you, we are changing a bit, because when you are a direct-to-consumer company only, which we were essentially a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
You make shoes, and when they're ready, you get them from the factory. You aim ahead with your marketing engine and you launch. And if they come a week late, no biggie. But we've changed our model a bit now, because we had this explosive growth in direct to consumer. We've grown in a couple of ways. One, really 3 ways. We've started to open our own stores.
Mm-hmm.
We'll open our 4th and 5th stores this fall. 4th, 5th, and 6th stores this fall.
Are they all in Utah?
No, just one in Utah.
Okay.
Our second is at Mall of America in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. Third is in King of Prussia Mall in Philadelphia. We'll open stores in Boston on Newberry Street, and in a Cherry Creek Mall in Denver, and in Short Hills Mall in New Jersey. So that's a new channel. You got to be a little bit more streamlined. And we also started, we will be in about 750 to 800 wholesale accounts, not accounts, 225 accounts, but about 800 stores. We're already in many of them, and this fall we'll enter more. And so when you start making shoes that way, you've got to back up your calendar. You got to be on time. So our process is more like 18 full months now. So
wow.
I don't know how interesting that is to folks, but it's a real change,
super interesting.
going from direct to consumer only to particularly wholesale. Next year we'll launch in I believe 11 other countries as well. So
wow.
So we're working on it.
Yeah, that is incredible. Why change the model? I'm interested in this idea of hey, I'm doing so good online. I don't need to pay rent. I don't need to have a store because I'm doing so well online. Why go from online to brick and mortar?
I would say several reasons. One, we're an experiential product. And there's nothing like, I mentioned that one of our first efforts at watching people step into our shoes was at the Salt Palace at Silicon Slope Summit, I think 2019. And we watched people step in, their head comes up and it's like, whoa, I didn't expect to like this so much. And so we realized it's great to be selling these online, but we need to have the experience live. That's one reason. Another reason is only about 30% of people buy goods online, and maybe even fewer buy shoes. Lots of people buy shoes online, but we want to get Kizik to where the people are. And also, if you think long-term across the world, we take our shoes off and on in the United States, but think about Asia, Middle East, where it's part of life multiple times per day.
Literally part of the culture.
Part of the culture. And our thought was, we've got to build our brand outside of direct to consumer world and get ourselves ready to sell shoes all across the world to people who want to try them on.
Well, it makes sense. Even Amazon has started opening up bookstores. They started to take down bookstores, and now they have their own bookstores. Speaking of Amazon, what's it like selling on Amazon? And what goes into your decision to I'm going to sell on Amazon or I'm not going to sell on Amazon? Because I know so many companies and brands go back and forth on that.
They do. And early on, we were a new concept. A lot of people were asking the question, does this really work? Is it gimmicky? Is it going to work when I buy these shoes online. And what you get at Amazon is a familiar place where people leave reviews that aggregate really quickly and are credible. Not that Kizik isn't credible. I mean, we're super credible. And we have thousands and thousands of great reviews now on Kizik.com. But when we started, we didn't. And, we could hear from customers who went to Amazon, saw the reviews, came back to Kizik.com or bought right on Amazon. So it's a great validator early on. And so many people shop on Amazon. And so those are a couple of reasons why.
How do you think about branding? Because you've created this incredible brand. What went into that?
Brand is interesting, particularly when you're an innovative company. We want to be a brand that people love because not just because we're stylish and comfortable, but because we do something different. We're the original hands-free footwear. I mean, we have competitors out there now.
Yeah.
And
that actually must be really validating to see that.
That's a positive way to look at it. And I think you're right. Competition is a form of flattery, and you know what they say about flattery. But brand it's also important. It's important that we are beloved as a brand because we were first. We solve a problem, but we want to be viewed as premium in our way, as the best in hands-free, not just the first, but the best. And one of the ways we've done that is, I was looking at some material the other day that we were using back in 2020, 2021. It said, we have 8 patents. Now we have 200 plus patents that are pending and about almost 100 that are granted. And so we want our brand to be both a footwear brand that's respected for style, comfort, but also for technology and innovation, for being different, for being first.
Yeah. And part of your brand is this incredible community, right? Which is really interesting. That's another thing that's just so hard to get right, and you guys have gotten right. Like, I mean, when I see somebody wearing Kizik, I'm like, oh, you're wearing Kiziks.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing now.
Well, I am a bit of an extrovert, so I don't think I ever see anyone without saying, hey, thanks for wearing Kiziks, in the airport, wherever it may be. And I mean, that's a great thing about Kizik is that people love it for the experience. And what you said to me today, hey, I've got 30 pair. I mean, not everyone says 30 pair, but they might say I have 3 pair. I'll tell you another thing that's amazing about our brand. And I don't know who gets this, who has a brand that spawns this kind of talk. Within a couple of minutes of trying on a pair of Kiziks, half the time at least, somebody will say, you know what? I need to get a pair of these for fill in the blank. My sister-in-law who's expecting, or my dad who's aging, or maybe one of my friends who's differently abled. It's a cool thing to have a product that makes people think about others.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
It's beautiful
all the time.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. What is the future of Kiziks? I mean, what are you trying to build here? You're building one of the biggest companies to ever come out of Utah. Like that must feel good.
Oh, it does. And wow, I don't think I've heard anybody say that. But it's our intent. One thing that I will say about the footwear industry it's a $350 to $400 billion industry. And another thing that's cool about shoes is, and changing shoes fundamentally is, it's literally what pegs all 8 billion of us to the ground every day.
Mhm.
Some people don't wear shoes, but almost everybody wears shoes. And it's such a ubiquitous, worldwide thing. So what do we see? I think we see in the very long term, we see our technology at Kizik, but also maybe not just in Kizik shoes. It's hard to build a brand fast enough to fill the world.
Oh, absolutely.
So our vision is, with the right partners, we will make hands-free shoes available to everyone. And that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
More than 1 billion people in India, more than 1 billion people in China, 500 million people in Indonesia.
Are you overseas yet?
We have, yet. We're available we're available online across the world, but we've just signed distribution deals with partners in the UK, 6 different Southeast Asian countries, Taiwan, Japan. Have I missed any? Canada. So the answer is yes, we're available. We will be available in 2025 in all of those countries.
Yeah. That's a big moment to start
Italy.
going that way.
I forgot Italy.
Oh, yeah. They'll love it.
Simone doesn't want me to leave him out. Yeah.
Finally, what goes into manufacturing? Just so people, like, the interesting thing always about consumer product companies is there's so much that goes into it. It's not a software company where you're building and you're just selling software. Not just, that's really hard, right? But you got to manufacture this stuff, and then you got to figure out the technology also to sell it. And you got to figure out the technology of the product itself, which is, groundbreaking in Kizik's case. So do you have to go to China? Like, is that kind of like there's no other choice basically?
Well, Asia is, we're in Vietnam. We have 3 separate factories, great partners, and they are wonderful. Each of them had factories in China before, but now they're producing out of Vietnam, and we're really pleased to be there. They do such great work for us. One thing that's unique about Kizik is, it's one thing to make a shoe that's not hands-free. It's different to put technology into a shoe. We have to find factory partners that are willing to make samples, that are willing to innovate with us. Our lab here can get a shoe 70% of the way to finish, but we need partners who know how to make beautiful finished shoes to get them all the rest of the way there. And so that's a unique thing about our manufacturing partners, and they're so good at it and pros. But yeah, it's a big part of the business. And particularly when you're growing at, I think we were in the Inc. 5,000 this edition this last.
You guys are growing so fast. It's phenomenal.
Well, it was eye-opening even to me. I saw that they announced that we had grown more than 1,000% over 3 years. And you have to have a partner that's ready to go with you. Of course, they're excited for our growth, but yeah, that's not a small part. Getting your manufacturing lined up.
How many employees do you have now?
We have, I believe, about 120. 120, and most of those are in Utah.
So cool.
Our founder Mike Pratt's super intent on making Kizik a Utah company that stays a Utah company.
Well, he's done it. I'm personally proud that Kizik came out of Utah because it really is such an incredible company. And I really do think you're going to be one of the bigger companies to ever come out of this state. The growth is phenomenal. The growth is crazy to me, actually. It's been wild to see it.
Well, that's flattering, and I appreciate it. We're working at it.
Thanks, Monty.
Thank you, Clint.